Just state your name and your address.
Oh, Richard Ubaldo, Main Street, Bethlehem here. So there's our issue that we're having with our creating our transfer station and what we're going to do with our sanitation for the town. And I went out to the open house and met with not met with the Casella folks, but saw what was going on there. They had their little flyer, which I brought with me. So it seems to me that we're going to be losing a lot of revenue that they actually give the town. Like, for example, last year there was $143,000 in tipping fees they gave to the town, or that we got through from them. There's also the taxation that comes from them, and I believe just the landfill alone was $171,000. That comes from them. It's basically revenue coming into the town. And then we'll have all our expenditures that we have if we open a transfer station, the cost of building that, staffing it, which will be 2 employees, part-time, whatever we want to call it. We will also have tipping fees. That wherever it goes, if it goes to Carberry, which is another story, or if it goes down to Rochester, we'll have tipping fees, trucking costs, all that type of stuff. So just what we will lose in our expenditures alone are going to be pretty extensive for the town, and obviously the taxpayers will have to look at that. And we do have the option of everybody can buy their own pickup, whatever that may turn into, but obviously the cost of that will change. And as we know, some people in Littleton choose to have their own pickup. It's about $50 a month. You do the math, you come up to, about that $600 a year. So we have all those expenditures, and then we'll have whatever the town decides to do with that. So we're going to look at a pretty big hit when it comes to it in basically about 26 months, if I'm correct on that. They're going to close. And obviously those revenues that they do give us will go down through that period. I'm wondering if the town board would be willing to look at Casella and see what an expansion agreement would look like. Recently, there's been the new legislation that starts January 1st that businesses and out-of-state trash should be charged to $3.50 per ton that they bring to any landfills in Bethlehem, or not Bethlehem, or any landfills in the state of New Hampshire. And that is obviously, that money is going to be used to fund DES and other projects, and towns can actually write grants to get that money for their own projects. So we're looking at a lot of things that are fluid and changing, and currently the tipping fee for Carberry, I believe, is $68 a ton, which we don't currently pay a tipping fee, obviously. Even if we have our own transfer stations, it's going to cost us. It's going to cost us for tires. It's going to cost us for white goods, furniture, anything else people in town want to get rid of, another expenditure. So just asking Casella what that would possibly look like, a deal for expansion. And some people are going to say, no way, we don't want anything, and that's great. But I think everybody should know what it would look like, and then possibly if that vote comes around for that, then people can make their own decision on what they want to do. They could do their own research and find out what kind of numbers they're looking at. We'll have that piece, and kind of behoove the town to even look at that, just in the sense of saying, what are we not looking at? And that seems to be a big piece. And I think that the board here can even just reach out and say, what are we looking at now legislatively? The state has to do their piece with that. They may not even get an expansion permit, even if we wanted one or didn't want one, whatever it may be. But not looking at that piece, I think is where it's kind of going. We should at least look and see what it is and see what that sounds. If they were to get a permit, the tax that they would get charged just due to their property tax would be exponential in what we're getting now, only because they're taxed on volume. And there's all these little pieces. We should at least know what that is and what that looks like. And so if I'm asking, maybe the town board can say, you guys can put your heads together with the legal department and all what you got to do, and say, maybe we could just ask and reach out to say, what does this look like, or what would it look like? And there's going to be a lot of fluid and moving parts with anything like that, but the conversation should be had so at least we have an idea of what that might look like for us. And at the same time, we're looking to keep our same services that we have, and we're possibly looking at paying a lot of money for it. Let's see what that would look like to keep those same services. And I know they gave that bid, but that was them planning on them closing. If they were not to close, I think that bid would obviously be eliminated, and we would keep our same services and gain the revenues, or the possible, I can't say guaranteed, but the definite possible revenues that would come from another permit for them that the state would have to do and the townspeople would have to vote on to see if they even want it. But not having that information is the piece I'm more looking at, saying, what's it look like? Who knows? Who knows what it's like? So just something I wanted to bring up to the board. And then the last piece is, I know we got the fire department to put in those posts for the 911 stuff. I'm just wondering about Dig Safe. Dig Safe. And the reason being is you kind of go in there, anything near a road, which those are going to be at the end of people's driveways, anything near a road, it's a good idea to call Dig Safe. Just because they'll start hammering one in and boom, 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 and next thing you know, we got a broken gas line, water line, electrical, utilities, anything like that come along with that. And then the other thought was, I know there's a limit on overtime for the highway department, but I think they have better equipment when it comes to digging or putting in posts or all that type of stuff than the fire department would have for that. Fire department put out fires and open up cars and all that kind of great equipment they have, which we should talk about getting more of them. But anyway, but the highway department actually has the tools that would make that, even if it's a post driver, which I'd volunteer to lend them mine.
I mean, I think they did it with the sledgehammer last time.
Right.
Yeah, we just had a big pry bar to break the ground, put the picket in, and then we had the picket driver.
Right. Okay.
On the side roads, it was easier. Right now, that's why Turner and those streets haven't been done, because of what you're saying of municipal lines.
Yeah. So anyway, that was it. So that's my my interaction for tonight. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, there's some big topics there.
Yes, it is a very big topic, but I think that should be addressed and looked at for everybody, you know, and just to see, and people. That's what's great. Sorry. That's what's great. People get to vote on it. It's really your decision is to look and ask them what it would look at, and it's the town, the whole town, any registered voter, decision on what they want to do or not.
The town did vote on that a few years ago.
Yes, they have, but in the past, they're not looking at 24 months, and I would estimate the very minimum $750,000 increase.
So your contention is that there should be another vote because it's coming up.
It has come to fruition.
Differently.
I think they will.
Because of the cost.
And you know what would be good about that? They have the choice to not feel differently. That's what's good, because they can say, nope, no matter what the cost is, I don't care, and it's closing and we want it to close. And some people may say, well, now that I'm looking at that, and I might want to think differently. That's what's great about it, because they get to vote, they get to do it in quiet by themselves, and make their choice on what they want to do, and at least we're giving them a choice, right? They get a choice on it instead of saying, no one likes to give away money that they don't have a choice on. Everybody likes to have a choice when they give away their money. So I think that's the most important thing, is that we're throwing all options. These are all our options, and you get to make the choice on what you do, and let it be where it be. Sure.
Anybody have anything else to say?
Rich Southwell, 238 Whitefield Road. When is this? It's not 24 months. It's the end of next year, right? Yeah. So I guess if somebody wanted to put something on the ballot next year, that would be a warrant article with, so
For
I guess,
March of 2026.
yeah.
Would be the only vote.
Right. So,
Correct.
And if the select board were to do it, that's a whole different scenario than if it was like a petition,
Right.
because of the settlement
But,
agreement.
yeah, so, but there's two ways to get it on a ballot, right? So there's one here, and then there's the other one to go out to get signatures, okay. And I do just, it's a terminology thing, it's just a nit, but Casella does not give the town tipping fees. They pay us for the use of that land and to put the world's refuse in our backyard. So I just wanted to be, we are paid for that. Thank you.
Anything else on public input? Sir?
Richard Ubaldo, Bethlehem. So I did some research looking into what's going on with obviously our transfer station issue with Casella and things like that. And there's a lot of information I think that's pretty pertinent to our situation that we're in, because we currently know that in 2027 we are going to be running that the Casella is going to close. And then what we have to do is either have a transfer station up and ready to go or have contracted services, all of which are going to cost us some money. Unless there's conversation with Casella and a town vote. And I know this was not happy about last time I mentioned it, but in doing my research, even if it was a town vote without a deal, their new cell that would be permitted, if it's permitted through the state and all those other things fall on the line, and if it's voted for and the zoning law changed and all those little pieces, their first cell would bring revenue to the town of close to $500,000. Then with tipping fees, that would be close to another $300,000 because they're allowed to put 300,000 yards in there. And that's different from the way we tax it because tons and yards don't match up. When there's 300,000 yards, that's actually more like 375 tons that could go in there. And if we were to get that 75 cents per ton as we have the agreement now, then we'd also be looking at if there were some sort of agreement that wouldn't include all the services that we're currently getting now, which include transfer station, all the pickup. And we say transfer station, but that includes whites, mattresses, white goods, that's all of it, tires, such things like that, the metal recycling, the bottle recycling, all those things that we all want for our town, that they provide for free currently. Never mind the once a year with the hazardous waste disposal and stuff like that, which is all free to this town. So really, and we don't know exact numbers on what it's going to be like bringing our stuff to Carberry. And as Littleton pointed out a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when they switched, it was clearly stated either you're in or you're out. Now, I currently know the tipping fee is $67 or $68 to go to Carberry. That's the tipping fee that we would have to pay, which we don't pay now. And so we're looking at all these expenditures, which means it's going to be a lot of money. We know that. Even if we had our own transfer station, we're going to have to hire at least 2 employees. We're going to have to certify them. We're going to have to license them. We're going to have to train them, and pay them a decent salary to get them to do it. So what I'm looking at is at least the board maybe could reach out just to find out what it would look like, to see what kind of numbers we're looking at. I don't know what the tax rate, or not the tax rate, the interest rate is going to be on $1 million bond to build our own over 20 years. But we're also looking at if Casella were to get a new permit, the state issues permits typically for 20 years. And then they get that permit, they break it up into cells. So they really only have to pay taxes on a certain amount of airspace. And that's why that's only $500,000 that they would originally have to pay in taxes to us. That is a significant number. And if I think if we do our math correctly, that is $1 on the current tax rate for the municipalities. So I'm really kind of interested to see, and I'm not going to take a poll. I'm not going to just want to say maybe the select board could reach out and talk with Casella. I know the Casella meets regularly anyway to talk about the closure. But what we're looking at really now is different from what has been in past years, is that now we're looking at very big enormous expenditures compared to enormous income. And I think it would be fair for everybody in town to know what those are, and at least look at them and see if it has to be a warrant article, that, because you guys can't encourage anything like that and have to stay neutral on it. That's fine. I will work on that myself if you'd like. I'll call them up and start looking for money. But I think it would be appropriate for at least the town to know, everybody in town to know what those numbers look like, especially since we don't know what our cost is going to be for $1 million bond. We don't know what that's going to look like to tax increases. We don't know exactly how much it's going to cost. We don't know that $2 a bag, $4 a bag, or any of that type of stuff, or our recycling. And then the other piece is that in 27, when Casella closes, as it's currently scheduled to do, Carberry has no obligation to take our municipal waste. No obligation whatsoever. And also, we know that since they are the only, they will be the only game within 100 miles or 130 miles of here, because we only have waste management to go to down in Rochester, their costs could significantly change to us. And it's probably not, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I can say it's probably not going to be that $67 a ton. Probably going to be a lot more. And then we're also looking at that expenditure. So what I'm seeing on baseline is a whole lot of expenditures compared to a whole lot of income. And I think it's something that at least maybe the board should reach out to and say, hey, what would this look like? And bring it to the town for a vote. And we'll go from there just to see what it's like, and then everybody gets to make an informed decision on what they want to do. But I'm concerned about the expenditures if we keep on this direct route without finding that information. And that may be what happens during a vote. Maybe, but I think people should have a chance to vote on it and see if they're willing to take that expenditure. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Does anyone have any comments on that or questions for Richard?
Yes, Labor Right, Congress Street. The gentleman makes it sound as though the select board knows nothing about this and has basically done nothing. I've attended many transfer station committee meetings. I've attended numerous select board meetings, and I can tell you the select board is working hard on this. And if you are concerned, you should attend a transfer station committee meeting yourself and bring these concerns up, because these are topics that have all been gone over, and to make it sound as though there's nothing going on is a disservice to our hardworking select board and the members of the transfer station committee. Go there and see what you're talking about. Thank you.
Thanks, Allegra. Richard?
Hey, Southwell 238 Whitefield Road in Bethlehem. Another semantics issue. We don't get anything for free from Casella. Again, we are compensated as a town for their ability to bring other people's trash and dump it in our town. So nothing's free. I've heard this rap twice now, and it's always about revenue and expenses. What I'm not hearing is risk, right? And so we're not really quantifying or even attempting to consider the risk of what may be in there currently, the impact long-term of PFAS contaminants. And, it's all about short money today, a little bit of tax money, and all the great free giveaways that corporate Santa Casella brings us. So I take a little bit of umbrage there. The other thing that I find amazing about this incredible economic opportunity that Casella represents is that no other town in the region is competing for it. And so if this was such a great deal, one would think that towns would be lining up with incentives and begging and, hey, you don't even have to pick up our trash. We'll take our own trash to your place. This is so great. But that's not happening here. It's one company with a big, big problem on their hands because they got washed out of Dalton and they're about to get washed out of here that needs a place to bring trash from throughout the Northeast. This is not an economic, and I think I'm probably preaching to the choir, but if anybody happens to be watching this on video after the fact, this is not an economic development opportunity. This is a business problem that Casella is trying to solve as inexpensively as possible and trying to strike fear into everybody about, well, we don't know what things are going to cost. We also don't know what's sitting in that landfill now, and we don't know what's sitting in that landfill is going to look like 20 years from now. So until we start recognizing that, I think we've probably had enough of the revenue and expense and all the terrible things that are going to happen that we're not thinking about. We need to hear a lot more about the potential risks that are down there and what it could do to the town and the environment. So thank you.
Richard.